Hello, I'm old Mr. Kent, 82 years old on my morning e-trike ride, and things are a little different. They plowed this canal road, which they haven't done for about 3 years. They did it 3 years ago, and right after that there was some torrential rain and a lot of mud, and ended up with a whole bunch of ruts in it, and that's how it's been for a long time. And then they plowed it again, and now it's pretty smooth, and so that's a lot nicer than it has been. So a lot of people are driving on it, and it's a lot nicer. So thought I'd point that out to you, because I can make my videos riding along this road now, and it makes pretty nice ride. Good morning. And so I got a lot of things I got to cover before we even get started. It's been almost a week since I made my last video, and one thing I have to do, I have to apologize, because it was about 8-9 years ago that I moved to Arizona, and before then I knew nothing about what a goat head was, except a head on a goat. And that's when I learned about goat heads, and so I just assume now that everybody knows about goat heads, and they don't. So I had a couple of people ask me, what is a goat head? And so I'm going to explain it to you. If you look square on at a goat and look at his head, his ears, and his horns take this particular shape, and it's the same shape as a thorn that grows on bushes, on weeds that grow at different parts of the country, especially here in Arizona. And so when you run over a weed that has goat heads on it, it's really bad, because what happens is the head and the thorns break off of the bush and stick into your tire. So, and the thorns are long enough, of course, that they can immediately give you a flat tire, or because the head comes off along with it, then it's sticking out there on the outside of your tire, and as your tire rotates, that head keeps pumping that thorn deeper and deeper and deeper into into your inner tube. And so eventually, I mean, like for instance, I went 1.5 miles on one of my rides recently, and then finally got a flat tire. And then the strange thing is also in the last week, I went, I think it was 5 or 6 days with a goat head in my rear tire, and then finally it gave me a flat tire when I least expected it. I thought I had all my problems solved, and it was when it finally broke through, it was such a big hole that I pumped it up as far as I could. I pumped it up to like 30 pounds or something, and then headed home as fast as I could. And by the time I got home, the tube was entirely flat. So anyway, so what I'm going to do is, well, first of all, what I am going to do is what my son did to my left. Let's see, yeah, my left wheel. He took an old inner tube, and he cut a circle, cut the valve stem area out, and then went around the inside of the inside circle of the inner tube and sliced it out so that he could take and make a coating, like a coat. And by the way, my inner tubes are all double thickness, and so he could take a double thickness inner tube and coat it around another. I'm going to turn here. We're going to go out here and go up a road. And so it makes a double thickness inner tube around a double thickness inner tube. And I'm gonna make a tutorial because I'm gonna do the other side and make a double thickness inner tube around a double thickness inner tube and show you how we do that. So so that's coming up eventually. So anyway, that's what goat heads are, and that's why you got to protect against them. So that's what we're doing. Okay, let me see, what else was there? There was that, goat heads, and there was something else I needed to talk about. Isn't that something, how I forget when I start? Oh, yeah. Then also, I put in some more slime. I don't like using slime, and the problem I have is, maybe, I don't know if I do it wrong or anything, but I have a hard time getting all the slime in. First thing I did was I took some wire, I pumped my inner tube up to like 35 pounds so that the valve stem was sticking out as far as possible. And I took some wire and I twisted it around the valve stem tightly and got it really, really tight so that the valve stem would not slide back down into the hole when I tried to slide the slime tube onto the valve stem, because that's a big problem. I've always had problem with that, trying to keep the valve stem out and slide the tube on, and and it was just a headache. So I twisted the wire around there, and then of course the end of the wire will poke you in the finger. And so here's the dogs again. Good morning. Yeah. Maybe we'll put it in pedal assist 3 and get out of here real quick, like. That might help. Okay. So anyway, and then you twist the end around so that it won't poke you. So so that worked pretty well. That kept all three inner tubes, the valve stem sticking out. And then when I put the slime in, for some reason I always have a hard time. It seems to plug up. I don't know, maybe I'm pushing too hard or something, but it was kind of frustrating. But I got slime in, and I got that all done. And so so I got that done. So now I got all my tires, they all have slime in them, and that's all fixed. And that left rear tire is double thickness inner tube, and so I'm going to do that next. And like I say, I'll make a video of how I do that when I do it. That's coming up. And then I promised that I would tell you about my students in high school and eggs. So I might have to back up a little bit in my history of telling you about my students. I know I have told you, yeah, I know I've told you about when calculators, handheld calculators came out. See, before handheld calculators came out, when I was teaching electronics, I showed my students how to use the calculator, taught them how to use the slide rule, and I even wrote a book on how to use the slide rule, by the way. So I showed my students how to use the slide rule, and then when we were doing math problems in class, I was teaching them how to solve problems, because there's a lot of math involved in electronics. Well then, when handheld calculators, which would do add and subtract and multiply and divide, that's all they would do. 4-function calculator. That's all they would do. When they came out, they cost $250. And you couldn't touch the screen. If you touched the screen, they said it would mess it up, would ruin it, because all you could do is hit the buttons. And so a friend of mine bought one, believe it or not, and I got to see that. Well, I couldn't afford it, so And the price kept coming down month by month. The price kept coming down. And finally it got down to $65. And Montgomery Ward had them for $65. So I bought one. I brought it to school. And I showed it to my students. And I laid it on my desk. And when I would need to solve an equation or something, when I was teaching, well, then I'd pick it up and I would use it. And I told my students, if you need to use it, come up to the desk and, you can use my calculator. And so that was, they did that and that worked fine. And one day I was teaching and I picked up my little handheld calculator and I turned it on, but it didn't turn on. And so I punched the button and it didn't turn on. I said, you guys know what's going on here? Has anybody messed with my calculator? Because I knew it was all charged up because I take it home every night. And, nobody said anything. And I said, all right, now, who used my calculator last? And nobody said anything. I was getting all kind of upset. I always play tricks on my students, and we enjoyed teasing each other and everything. And I said, all right, now, who was using my calculator last? Who used it last? Nobody said anything. Pretty soon I heard some snickers. People snickering. I said, what's going on? And then there was more snickering, and then there was more snickering. I said, what's going on? And finally, this kid pulls a calculator out from under his desk. He says, this is your calculator. That one, because he worked at Montgomery Ward, and somebody brought one in that didn't work. And so they let him take it home, and he brought it to school and laid it on my desk when I was out of the room. And so that's what we did. We played tricks on each other. And my students, we just always had fun together. Well, so in my advanced drafting class, I only did this one time, and probably good reason. I wanted to have them do some design, and so the project was to design. Have them design a bridge which would hold their textbook while they slid another textbook underneath of the bridge. Okay, so and then I taught them a little bit about design principles, like a triangle is the best design and all that. And they could do that, or I showed them how to design the principle of a wing and what makes lift and stuff like that. And so I showed them that, and so they had a choice of the bridge, or they could make a glider that would hold an egg. And then we had this walkway that went between the two buildings up above an area there, that if they could put their glider out the window, open a window in the walkway, and throw their glider out with an egg in it, and have it glide clear to the ground and not break the egg. That was their goal. And so they had the choice. They could make the bridge or make the glider. And so, good morning. And so that was their project. And so some of them made the bridge, and that, and in most cases the bridge worked, no problem. And then some of them made the glider. So on the day of testing out the glider, I was standing down on the ground with my little clipboard. And there was like 16 students in the class. And so there was a half a dozen students, I suppose, that made, or maybe more than that, I don't remember. Anyway, there was quite a few that made the airplane. And that was fun watching them, because we took time every day. Once we got the principles down, then they started building them in class, and I was helping them with that. And so, and they had a wingspan, they had a wingspan of 2-3 feet, and so that they could get it out the window on the walkway. And so came the day, they were all up above, and everybody. So I went downstairs. I'm standing down there with my clipboard, and And so first student, he throws his out the window, and it kind of does a nosedive and crashes and breaks the egg. And so another one tries it. I don't remember all the details, but about 2 of them, as I remember, glided to the ground and didn't break the egg. And all the rest of them were miserable. And I'm standing down there. And then pretty soon they're all lining up at the windows, and they're cheering. And the next thing I know, I'm dodging eggs. Fortunately, it was pretty hard for them because the windows folded out like that. It was pretty hard for them to make a very accurate toss. I got to turn around here. It was pretty hard for them to be very accurate throwing eggs at me. But there were eggs flying around all over the place, and I'm running around with my clipboard trying to get out of the way. So anyway, and then of course, in retribution, I showed them where the janitor room was, and they had to go out and scoop up all the broken eggshells. So that's the broken egg story. And I guess that's probably long enough for this for this video. I'm kind of run down. I might be getting old. I'm not sure. But anyway, I want to thank you for watching the video, and I'll be back again in a few days with maybe videos on how to make a second inner tube layer. And so right now I want to thank you for watching this video, and God bless.